this was Mahomes' version of the Jordan flu game, game 5 of the 1997 finals. And Mahomes getting hurt and not wanting to go even get checked out. Mahomes literally went off the field for a second, came right back out. And then, came out again. They obviously they didn't want to put him back in. They wanted him to go to the locker room and all that stuff to get tested before coming back out. But I think the players around him, and you mentioned it, Lance, the players around him seeing him pick up the team when the defense is allowing a score in every drive or in every series. And Mahomes came out and everyone picked up their game. We're talking about guys like Derek Nottie. We're talking about Colin Saunders. We're talking about Noah Gray. We're talking about Chad Henne. We're talking about all these guys who picked up their game tonight because they saw their captain, their MVP, hurt and wanting to play regardless of his injury. No one knew how bad it was. That could have been a lot of things. That could have been, I think some people said it could have been an MCL thing. The way his knee went down. But we had to get that checked out because he was kind of holding his knee at first.
Yeah.
And then obviously thank the Lord, it's an ankle sprain, which ankle sprains are nothing to play around with. But seeing Mahomes, kind of the story of Mahomes, like. What's the next thing to compare him to? I mean, well, obviously, people want to call him the GOAT. Now we're giving Brady that title right now, but Mahomes is going into that next level. He's potentially going to get his next MVP, potentially maybe compete in the Super Bowl. But we're seeing him do things that only a guy like Jordan that we could think of, a guy who played through pain in the biggest stages of them all. And people were saying, I guess also people online saying, "Oh, why is Andy playing him right now? Why is he playing through this right now?" Yeah, injuries happen, and this is a time of the year when a guy doesn't want to leave the field because this is what you play all year for. You play all year for to play in January, to get a chance to play in February. Meaningless game in October, Mahomes is out of that game probably, and they're not gonna mess with it. But we're in January. Mahomes doesn't want to go out. Mahomes is arguing with the guys in the sideline to stay in the game, and then the players around them see that going on, and it's no coincidence that everyone's game steps up. And you have guys, the role player guys on the defense, offense stepping up. I mean, even before the Justin Watson's catch, it's a guy that we've complained about dropping balls. He stepped up. I mean, everyone did. And that's another thing too. Once Mahomes got hurt, you saw the O-line play better. They weren't doing anything anymore. Mahomes had all day back there to do stuff. And yeah, maybe those guys on the edges felt bad that they were in the Jags D-line was in his face every play, and they stepped up their game. Everyone stepped up their game when Mahomes got hurt. It's unfortunate that Mahomes has to get hurt for everyone's game to rise, but sometimes that happens in sports. Sometimes you need that extra kick in the ass. And thankfully, it's not a season ender for Mahomes. It's just a high ankle sprain. But it was nice to see everyone take part in this victory. And at the end, when they were talking to Kelce and Mahomes, they were talking about who should be the MVP of this game, and they all said Chad Henne, which I thought it was great to give him his flowers, well-deserved flowers, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But what do you think about this? Just seeing everybody, because you mentioned everyone's game rose, but it really took Mahomes to get injured for everyone, especially the offensive line play, because the offensive line played so good after that injury, and it's like, wow, there you go, guys. That's what happens when you don't do your job. This is what happens. That shit happens.
Yeah, well, I think what happened is you saw the beginning of the game, and it was so beautiful how it all worked out because the Chiefs obviously kicked the ball off like they like to, made a big stop on defense, a quick 3 and out, and then Patrick Mahomes just got to work. The magic was there. He's doing jump passes to Travis Kelce. They got the goat-to-goat connection going already. And I think what happens, and we've heard players talk about it, both on opposing sides and on the friendly side of things, on teammates, talk about how sometimes you just kind of get caught up in the magnificence of it all. The magic of what Patrick Mahomes is as a quarterback, and you're just like, you just catch yourself sometimes just watching. And I'm sure that's happened with Michael Jordan and LeBron James and all these other great all-time transcendent players throughout history of athletics, that you just get caught up in it sometimes. And once he went down, I think that it did wake everybody up, and I think Andy Reid got a hold of everybody. And I think it's so cool that Andy Reid was a former offensive lineman in his days of playing, because I think he's able to get into the mentality and get into the psyche of his offensive linemen and how important it is to get those guys focused. And when Chad Henne came in, you saw a difference. You saw the run game open up, and it shouldn't. When you have your backup quarterback out there, the defense should be able to pin their ears and say, you're not going to run the ball on us. And that's exactly what the Chiefs were able to do. Isiah Pacheco had his longest run of the game when Patrick Mahomes was out. Yeah. And so that is what you're seeing this team do, is they focused in, they honed in, and they said, all right, we got to go and get this one, man, because we don't know if Patrick's coming back. It wasn't looking good for a minute. So we got to go out there and get this dub, man. And that's what happened. That's what you saw. And when it came to your question about Patrick Mahomes and, how do you compare him to anybody else? To me, man, there's really no comparisons. The dude is barely 27 years old, and he just tied Terry Bradshaw for the 10th most postseason touchdowns in NFL history. He is less than 400 yards away from passing Kurt Warner for the 10th most passing yards in postseason history. The man isn't even in his prime yet, and he's already getting in the top 10 of the most important stats of any quarterback to ever play football in postseason football. This is something we've never seen before. This is why I've said that he is unprecedented. I know he's our quarterback, so it's easy for us to gloat and carry on about him, but these are the facts. The man has the highest quarterback rating in the history of the NFL in the regular season and in the postseason, and they are identical. He has the highest yards per game average in both the regular season and the postseason. This man is doing things we've never seen before, and he's been doing it since day one. This is stuff you see, guys. Even Tom Brady, the great Tom Brady, it took this man several years even to get to 4,000 yards and over 25, 30 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes did that in the first 10 games of his career. I mean, this is what this man's been doing since day one, and you see it in postseason. There's no drop-off. He's the same no matter what the situation is, no matter what the stakes are. He does what he does, and the best part about Patrick Mahomes and what separates him from the rest isn't just his talent. Because we've seen Brett Favre, we've seen Aaron Rodgers, we've seen Josh Allen, we've seen Justin Herbert. These guys that have absolute rifles. These guys that can throw the ball all over the field just like Patrick Mahomes can. But what separates him is the ability to just continue to work through injuries. Most quarterbacks, they have that injury, they're not coming back for the rest of the game, like you said. Whether it's regular season, whether it's a postseason game. Guys are not coming back. He fought through that. Now, whether they gave him a shot, which they probably did, and they taped it up, he still went out there. But it wasn't that he just went out there. The dog in him is what helped him focus in, ignore the pain, and go out there and sling the ball and complete 66% of his passes with one leg. And it's so fitting because if we know anything about Patrick Mahomes, in the year the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl in 2019, Patrick Mahomes had a leg injury all season. Mm-hmm. And it was to the same leg. So Patrick Mahomes is on the precipice of leading this team to another Super Bowl on one leg. That's something that is just simply unexplainable, and I'm tired of trying to explain this man because you can't encapsulate him, you can't explain him. Patrick Mahomes is simply one of one because of the talent and the F you, I'm getting it done mentality that he has, man. You can't replicate that. You can't find that guy just sitting around. He is special. He is one of one.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.